Hey there and welcome. If you're getting ready for your peer support certification, then you are in the perfect spot. Seriously, think of this as your own personal study guide, built to help you really nail down the core principles from Module 1. We're going to walk through everything you need to know together. All right, let's dive in. But before we get into all the nitty-gritty details, let's just zoom out for a second. Let's start with a really big question. What is it that truly defines peer support? What makes it so different? Just keep that question in the back of your mind, because everything we're about to cover circles right back to the answer. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with that core distinction, the real why behind peer support. Then we'll get into the 7 guiding values and the 11 competencies, which are basically the what and how of your everyday work. And finally, we'll wrap up with the hard facts on certification and the ethical rules you just have to know. First up, and this might be the most important idea to really get, is the huge difference in philosophy between the peer support model and the traditional clinical model. Understanding this is the key that unlocks everything else. Okay, so what I love about this slide is how clearly it lays out that massive difference. See, in the clinical model, everything is built on the diagnosis. The goal is to reduce the illness. But in the peer approach, the foundation isn't a label, it's the relationship. The goals aren't about illness, they're about that person's quality of life. It's a fundamental shift in thinking. We move from treating an illness to supporting a whole person on their journey. And what powers that shift? Empathy. But we've got to be super clear about what we mean by empathy here. It's not some superpower where you can magically feel what someone else is feeling. The workbook is really clear that that's impossible. Instead, empathy is an active process. It's a struggle, even, to try to understand. And this phrase, wow, it just hits the nail on the head. The righteous struggle to try. This is so powerful because it tells us empathy isn't a passive feeling. It's something you do. It's a commitment. It's an action. It's that compassionate effort to understand. Honestly, if you remember one phrase, make it this one. It's the engine of real peer support. So, building on that foundation, let's move on to the values that are going to guide your practice. Think of these 7 values as the why behind every single thing you'll do as a peer supporter. Yep, there are 7 of them, and they come from the Mental Health Commission of Canada. So let's break them down one by one. And we're not just going to look at the definition. We're going to see what each one actually looks like in action. First up, hope and recovery. And we're not just talking about some vague, fuzzy feeling here. This is the solid belief that people can and absolutely do grow and move forward. So how does a person you're supporting feel that? It's simple, but it's profound. You give them encouragement. That encouragement is hope in action. Second is integrity, authenticity, and trust. This one's biggie. It's all about being reliable, being ethical, and keeping things confidential. Trust isn't just handed over, it has to be earned. And it's earned when you do what you say you're going to do. When you follow through on your commitments, you build that foundation of trust, one brick at a time. Number 3 is self-determination. This is all about having faith that the person you're supporting knows what's best for them. You have to trust their wisdom. And this goes right back to that person-centered idea, right? So the key here is you're not doing things for them. You're encouraging them to do things for themselves. You're empowering them, not creating dependency. Fourth, we have dignity, respect, and social inclusion. This is about seeing that every single person has inherent worth, period. No exceptions, no matter their background or situation. And the clearest way a person feels this, through non-judgment. When you create a space where they know you won't disapprove of them or their choices, that's respect in its purest form. Fifth, empathetic and equal relationships. See, this brings us right back to empathy and that idea of shared experience. It's a relationship of equals. And one of the most powerful ways you show that, you genuinely listen. You're not just waiting for your turn to talk. You're engaged in that righteous struggle to try to really, truly understand them. Number 6 is lifelong learning and personal growth. And listen, this is not a one-way street where you're the expert pouring knowledge into someone else. No way. This is about mutual growth. The relationship is reciprocal. The person you're supporting feels this when they know that you are learning from them just as much as they might be learning from you. And finally, number 7, health and wellness. This means you're looking at the whole picture, all the different parts of what makes a full, healthy life. This is so different from the often narrow, illness-focused definition of health. The value is put into action when you simply remind the person that their version of health, their wellness, is unique to them and totally valid. So, we've got the philosophy, the why. We've got the values. Now let's get practical and talk about the how. These 11 core competencies are the skills you'll use to bring all those values to life. This is where the rubber meets the road. And here they are. This is basically your toolkit. You've got things like communication, which is how you practice empathy, and initiative and commitment, which is how you build trust. Think of this slide as your personal checklist of the skills you'll be developing and using every single day to put those 7 values into practice. All right, let's switch gears for a second. We're moving from the philosophical to the practical. This next part is all about the hard data, the specific, need-to-know facts from the workbook about your certification. So you'll want to pay close attention here. Remember this number, 4. You cannot miss more than 4 hours of the total training content if you want to get your training certificate. This isn't a suggestion, it's a hard and fast rule. 4 hours is the max. So this slide pulls together all the key facts from this module that you absolutely have to know. Attendance for Module 2 and Module 5 is mandatory, no exceptions. The 3 big documents that will guide you are the Principles of Practice, the Code of Conduct, and the Knowledge Matrix. And notice what's missing, because this is important. The specific number of experience hours and the types of tests aren't covered in this module, so we stick to exactly what the source gives us. Okay, we've reached the final and maybe the most critical part of our guide. These are the rules of the road, the ethical non-negotiables. These are the guardrails that keep everyone safe and make sure trust is at the heart of every single peer support relationship. The Code of Conduct is crystal clear about your boundaries. You must not, under any circumstances, expose a peer to harm, take advantage of the relationship, engage in romantic or sexual relationships, or do anything that would make the public lose confidence in peer support. These are hard lines in the sand that you can never, ever cross. Okay, but what about confidentiality? This is a big one. Your default setting, your starting point, is always to maintain confidentiality. Always. But there are 2 very specific situations where you must break it. Number 1, if a person is at risk of serious harm, either to themselves or to someone else. And number 2, if a child under 16 is at risk of being harmed. Knowing this flowchart is absolutely essential for practicing safely and ethically. So, there you have it. That's the core philosophy, the values, the competencies, and the ethics from Module 1. You have the framework now. You have the map. The real question, the most important question, is for you. How are you going to take this knowledge and put it into practice? How will you make it real? We wish you the very best in your studies and in all the amazing work you're going to do.